I never really saw a life can be viewed in chapters, and mine is such a cliche, but I can nearly break it up into those increments of 7 years that are spoken about. Going to Hollywood seemed, as unnatural an environment as that can be, seemed like the natural progression of my life. I felt that I've been following a path that has in some ways been carved by myself, and in many ways been carved by some universal knowledge that I'm not even aware of. A lot of good fortune. I've never regretted it. No, if I was to regret it, I would have just left it, I think, and dealt with regret and used regret as a bouncing board and as an inspiration to do something else and to make a change. I've been lucky enough to work on films that are at least budgetarily smaller than some of the bigger films I've worked in. The stories and the questions that are asked again aren't smaller. Things like Intermission I worked on in Dublin, and A Home at the End of the World, and the last few films have again budgetarily been smaller than some of the more epic films like Alexander or massive budget films, spectaculars like Miami Vice. And it's interesting to dip into different worlds. It's interesting, but fundamentally you're doing the same thing. I think there is a greater platform for creativity that's provided in a smaller film. I think the filmmaker usually has more autonomy in a smaller film. They haven't got as many maybe producers breathing down their necks, and maybe they don't have to hit middle ground as much as a film that has to please a wider audience. Maybe they can be more specific, and I've enjoyed being there and reaping the rewards of that. But yeah, it's all, as I said earlier on, it's all been interesting for various different reasons. But I never felt like I had to sell a part of my soul to go to Hollywood, or I never felt like I sold out. I just been very lucky, and I enjoyed a lot of it, and some of it was shite, and some of it I still enjoy, and some of it is still shite. But as far as the pros outweigh the cons, which especially now with the advent of camera phones and YouTube and TLZ and all this stuff, the argument for is it all worth it is becoming more interesting. It really is becoming more interesting, because your privacy is infringed upon. And I know the argument is, oh, but you asked for it, you wanted to be famous, not fine. But the argument is there that the infringement on your privacy and your personal space when you're with your family, and how your family are ridiculed, and people in your life are ridiculed, friends, lovers, ridiculed, meanly, brutally, by certain members of the public and certain members of the press. And that would be the topic that would garner the question in me, is it all worth it? Should I walk away? And selfishly I stay in it, and the people that are in my life have dealt with it with great grace, any of the condemnations with great grace. What's it like to be an actor? I've no idea. It's, still trying to figure, that's one of those unanswered questions that remains evasive. I love to be directed. Again, I love the collaboration. I love working with a director. I love a director who can push you into different areas, who can maybe himself ask a question and walk away without having to deliver the answer. And Gavin, working with Gavin, he set up, talk about a collaborative environment, he really did set up a workshop out of his apartment in New York, where for 4 weeks before we started shooting, all the actors got together at various stages, first as a group for a general read-through, and then in increments we paired off, and it was just the most wonderful dialogue for 4 or 5 weeks before we started shooting. I love to be directed, yeah. I love to be, I don't know if it can be love-hate. I have had that as well. It can be quite tenuous. You are inevitably exposing certain aspects of yourself, certain ideas, certain fears, certain hopes, and it can be, acting can be, I find, can inspire great vulnerability at times. The one thing I think a lot of actors will say, the one thing that is imperative, I have found, with a director is trust. That's all. is trust. And if that trust is there, well then, the vulnerability is again, a very fertile ground for creativity. And I trust Gavin implicitly. I hate him, but I trust him. I don't like him, but I love him. I mean, it was easy work, really, really easy. Has anything changed since then? Yes, my hair is back to its natural colour, thank God. That goes back to the superficiality comment you made. Alexander Hurt. And again, I understand the flip side of the argument, get over it, you got well paid and all that. Alexander Hurt, how that film, the response that it garnered was really painful, and Oliver got an incredibly hard time, and I didn't come across too well either in the majority of reviews, and indeed the audience. People didn't respond to it, and you're not making it for yourself. You're not sitting in a studio with a canvas and an easel creating art for some individual and some personally focused purpose. You're again part of a collective. You're making a film, and certainly a film as epic as Alexander was made to be seen by many people. Not many people saw it, and those that did weren't particularly fond of it, and that was shite. It was really shite. And I took it to heart. I mean, I really did. I took it to heart, and I felt like I'd let a lot of people down, and I felt like I'd disappointed a lot of people, and I felt like I'd let Alexander down, and I did feel this obligation and the weight of the history and the beauty that I found inherent in that story in script form, and as I researched it more and more. And it took a while to get over that. So I probably got a little bit disillusioned after that, probably. I mean, I actually haven't given it that much thought, I haven't reflected that much upon it. But I probably got a little bit disillusioned after that, and I think only in the last couple of years, starting with Pride and Glory, has that disillusionment ceased to be something that is still present in my life regarding the work, and the curiosity and the purity that was there in the first class I ever did, the first workshop I ever did when I was 16, when I came out scratching my head going, I don't know what that's about, and I don't know if what I did in there was good or bad, and I had no objectivity to it at all. That curiosity and that confusion, that delightful confusion, has again been reignited, and it pushes me forward, I suppose, personally. Thanks for the words, man.
Thank you.